So much love and appreciation to those of you who have been with me for the 2 year period plus that I've been doing this. Thank you for showing your love and support to the channel. And to anybody else who is brand new to the platform and you would like to support the channel, also, you can do it by way of Patreon, Anchor, the clothing store, and also the shoe shop that is listed in the comment description below. And again, thank you to any and all of you guys who have been here to support this channel during the 2+ year period. I wouldn't be able to do what I do every single day without you. So before we get started, I just want to say to anybody who may get offended, um, it is what it is. These are their words. I'm not saying anything wrong about any group of people. I'm just putting the truth and the facts that are directly out there that anybody who has a cell phone, a tablet, or whatever device that you have can clearly look up directly for themselves, nor is this used to try to cause any type of rift or a further rift or divide between any groups of people. And the other thing that I want to point out is specifically to Black people. I want to pay attention, I want you to pay attention to how proud these people are, how they stand directly on the things that they say, and how they are also proud of it, and how nobody directly decides to call any of these individuals, right, racist or whatever it is, because of the way that they believe, the ideologies that they have, and the way that they follow through in order to protect and fight and walk for their people. Mr. Garcia is quoted as stating, "We are not and have never been civil rights organization. Personally, I hate the word." Dr. Hector Garcia was a physician, military veteran, and advocate for the right of Mexican Americans. In the early 1950s, the American GI Forum, while still denying that it was a civil rights organization, sought to end discrimination in Texas schools, in employment, and in use of public spaces. The core strategy depended on educating Anglos that, quote, Americans of Spanish speaking descent or Latin Americans were Caucasian, and that to identify them as anything but white, whether on birth certificates or traffic citations, was illegal. Making any distinction between Latin Americans and whites, he wrote, was a slur, an insult to all Latin Americans of Spanish descent. Another one. J. Herrera was quoted as stating, Latin Americans of Mexican descent belong to the Caucasian race and are therefore white. John James Herrera was an American attorney, activist, and leader in the Chicano movement. He joined the League of United Latin American Citizens, or the LULAC, in 1933 and began practicing law in Houston, Texas in 1943. During World War II, he was involved in the movement to end employment discrimination against Mexican Americans in Houston shipyards. In 1948, he joined the legal team that brought the school discrimination case of Minerva Delgado against the Bastrop Independent School District to the Texas Supreme Court. The ruling declared educational segregation of Mexican American students illegal in Texas. Another one. Felix Tijerina was quoted as stating, let the Negro fight his own battles. His problems are not mine. I don't want to ally with him. Felix Tijerina was a Mexican American restaurateur, activist, and philanthropist in Houston, Texas. He served as the 25th president of the League of United Latin American Citizens. Was to help Mexican Americans merge into American mainstream as successfully as he had, and that early Mexican restaurants like Felix's were among the first institutions where urban Anglos and Hispanics rubbed elbows. Tijarina's Americanized version of Mexican cooking was what brought the races together, and it was a triumph of diplomacy. Walsh also added that Tijarina's style of cooking was not about bringing authentic Mexican flavors to Texas. It was about putting Anglos at ease with things Mexican. Another one. Garcia was quoted as stating, I know Negroes aren't getting their full share of democracy, but frankly, I'm prejudiced against Negroes, and I do not believe that they are entitled to everything that we get. Gustavo Gust C. Garcia was an American civil rights attorney. Garcia worked with fellow attorney Carlos Cadena in the landmark case of Hernandez versus Texas in 1954, arguing before the United States Supreme Court for the end of a practice of systematic exclusion of Hispanics from jury service in Jackson County, Texas. Served as legal advisor to the League of United Latin American Citizens from 1934 to 1940. He was elected to the San Antonio Independent School District Board of Education in April of 1948, but later resigned. He helped revise the LULAC Constitution to permit non Mexican Americans to become members in 1949. In that year, he also served as lawyer to the family of Felix Longoria and help contract negotiations for the rights of workers in the United States Mexico Barcero program on May 8th of 1950. Garcia and George I. Sanchez appeared before the State Board of Education to seek desegregation enforcement. This is my thing. When it comes to, certain little squabbles, right, in between black people and Latins, Mexican Americans, anybody from South America, um, it is what it is. Those things I feel like can get either looked over or fixed, or people can talk. If people really want to, fix issues, people can sit up there and talk, right? Realistically, this is how it should be. You see how these four men did what it is that they had to do, and they focused on their people. They focused on their group. They did the things necessary, and you can see the benefits of that. You see clear cut that the work that they did in the past, how that's going to add up when you see 2030, 2034, 2035 pretty much roll around. You see where their population is going to be. They had the foresight. They had a dream. They had something that they wanted to shoot for. They knew that more than likely they weren't going to be alive in order to see it take place, but they knew that by the steps and the bricks that they laid down in order to make that road, they knew that somebody ahead of them was going to keep building, and they were going to finish that road so that it'll make it to the point that it was supposed to make it to. And the main thing I want to showcase to black people is that notice how nobody is looking back and looking at any of these men. It's like, oh, they're racist, or they're bigoted, this, that, and the third. No, because they're not. I respect the fact that they're honest. I respect the fact that they love their people enough. They love their culture enough, that they're going to do whatever it is necessary in order to further propel and push them and get them the things that they need. Notice how they didn't try to automatically add anybody else into this fight, into the battle, into the dream that they have for themselves. They did it all by themselves. That's what they did. But notice how you have black people when it comes into that whole thing of like, we need to get this, we need to get that, we need to get this. In a sense, everybody else gets added in, and we allow everybody else to get added in instead of just solely focusing on us and making sure that we get ourselves together. By way of us getting ourselves together, then the stuff will trickle down and it'll carry and and go to everybody else who it needs to go to. But due to the fact that we lack that focus, due to the fact that we are so divided in the things that we need to do, and the things that we need to accomplish, and the things that we need to move forward, this is why we can't move forward. This is why we are complacent. This is why we are stuck in the exact same mode that we have always been in. So the other thing that I also want to specifically point out when it has to do with all of this information is this one fact that I've stated to people before. The reason why you have the population that you have right now when it entails Caucasian Americans is due to the fact that their numbers have been fluffed by way of, yet again, the individuals that you are directly able to see in front of you. How they stated that the civil rights fight is not their fight. They hate the word civil rights. You had some of them that saw themselves and many others from South America as what? Caucasian. Other ones fought in order to not have those two things, um, in a sense divided. That in a sense, being Caucasian and being Latin or whatever it is, that it was all one and the same. And if you don't want to consider it as that, then that is within itself considered racist. So, like I said before, this is why whenever I look at a lot of things that take place out here and I see a variety of people, no matter what they classify themselves as, I look to the past. I look at what a lot of people, in a sense of now, want to classify themselves as, now want to call themselves. And when you look at it, a lot of people will state that they are Caucasian, even though you can look at them and tell that that is not, in a sense, what they are. But this is what people want to go by. And they're going by this because of the people that came before them that laid down these bricks, that laid down this road, that walked down this path, and that fought oh so hard in order for this branding and this title to be given directly to their people. So this is again why Black people need to understand why branding and titles are so very important when it comes to not just society but also the world as a whole.